highest United States government official ever to visit Bell Helicopter Company, landed at the firm's Hurst plant on Wednesday, December 12, 1962. Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson was flown to the plant in a Bell-built U.S. Army UH-1 Iroquois. Bell officials and employees turned out in 28-degree weather to greet the Vice President and Mrs. Johnson. Johnson, who as a U.S. Senator from Texas had visited the Bell plant in 1959, was greeted by Bell executives and union officials as soon as he stepped out of the helicopter, accompanied by Bell Helicopter President E.J. Ducaille. He was introduced to the several thousand employees gathered on the heliport by the president of Bell Aerospace Corporation, Harvey Gaylord. Then the vice president addressed the employees.
I think you will appreciate me more for my brevity than for my eloquence. So I'm not going to ask you to indulge me very long. But I want you to meet someone very dear to me, Lady Bird.
Friends, it's fun to be home in Texas, from which we've been away too long. And it's especially nice to be here at the Bell Helicopter Company, which has played quite a part in our lives. Back in '48, when Lyndon was running for the Senate, he went from one end of Texas to the other with Joe Mashman piloting him and sitting down on all sorts of strange places, not only football fields and courthouse squares, but also on top of filling stations, and even hovering low and talking to some of the folks on the ground. So I think we could say without exaggeration that if it weren't for this flying machine you all produced, he might not have met enough Texans to have gotten the chance to represent you all in the Senate and later on where he is now. Thank you.
I came here to say hello and to say thank you. We in the government of your country are mighty proud of your company and of you workers. We all know that you have made more commercial helicopters than any country in the world. But the thing that gives us such a vital interest in what you do each hour of each day is that the bulk of your work is military. The Army boy that sits there by the side of the Vietnamese lad piloting one of your helicopters in Vietnam and trying to hold back those hordes of communists is important to freedom there and important to freedom here. But the work that you do in yonder is just as important. And we're proud of your record. We're proud of what you've done. We're particularly proud of you, your families, and above all of the congressman that you've sent to Washington, because Jim Wright's one of the greatest that ever came to the Capitol. We have in the budget that's coming to Congress in a few days many millions that will be spent here. It will be spent here because it's merited here, because the record you have made, because the quality of your work. You have met your cost estimate. You have met your target dates. You have earned the record of excellent and efficient and economical, and we appreciate that. And I was so proud to have your management, and management's usually a little bit closer to the congressman and the governor and the vice president. They're visiting with us a little closer in these helicopters than some of you workers. But the management today spent most of the time coming over here telling me about what a good bunch of folks you are and how proud they are of you. and the President and the Vice President and the Congress that represent your country are proud of you too. You are helping to preserve freedom. Yes, 14 years ago I went from one end of this state to the other in what the Baptists at that time called helicopters. And I needed every bit of the push I could get out of that little machine that Joe Mashman frequently hovered over an electric line. Sometimes he'd say, "You meet me out the edge of town. I can't get out of here with that 220 pounds of yours." I reduced for a few days because I got scared myself. But after all, the race was so close. You know, remember, I just won by 87. Finally, in the last days of it, the going was so hard, so tough, it didn't make much difference to me whether we hit a line or not. I just kept on going. But I want to thank you for what you did for me then. I want to thank you for what you're doing for your country now. I particularly want to thank you for staying out here in the cold and giving me a chance to express the appreciation of your government for a job well done. Goodbye.
After speaking, the Vice President walked among Bell employees, shaking hands with old and new friends. Escorted by President Ducaille, he then inspected the UH-1D, latest model in the U.S. Army's famed Iroquois series, holder of 3 world helicopter performance records. Vice President Johnson was next shown one of Bell's Model 47 helicopters. A similar ship was used in Johnson's 1948 senatorial campaign, when he was flown throughout Texas by Bell's Assistant Vice President, Joe Mashman. Boarding his UH-1B, Vice President Johnson waved farewell to his hosts at Bell, concluding his welcomed visit.